Chapter 1: The State of Climate Migration Today. Welcome to our exploration of climate migration, a phenomenon that is affecting millions of people around the world. Imagine living in a peaceful town that suddenly becomes threatened by rising waters or harsh weather. What would you do? Where would you go? These are the kinds of challenges facing many families today because of climate change. Understanding climate migration. Climate migration happens when people have to leave their homes because the environment around them is changing. One of the biggest reasons for this is rising sea levels. As the Earth's temperature increases, ice caps and glaciers melt, causing sea levels to rise. This is especially troubling for people who live near the coast. In some places, the situation has become so dire that whole communities are forced to move to safer areas. For instance, islands in the Pacific Ocean, such as Kiribati and Tuvalu, face the threat of disappearing underwater. In these places, people are not just moving to a new neighborhood, they may eventually have to leave their countries entirely. The rise of sea levels. Let's dive a little deeper into why sea levels are rising. When the planet gets warmer, ice from the polar regions and glaciers melts. This melted ice adds more water to the oceans, resulting in higher sea levels. Furthermore, water expands as it warms, causing oceans to rise even more. For people living in coastal areas, rising sea levels can mean flooding becomes more common during high tides or storms. Imagine not knowing if your school will be open tomorrow because the road to it might be underwater. This uncertainty can be very stressful and makes planning for the future incredibly challenging. Societal displacement, a growing concern. When people move because of changing climates, it is called displacement. Displacement can be sudden, like during a hurricane, or it can happen over time, like when a drought makes it too hard to grow crops. An example of sudden displacement is seen in countries like Bangladesh, where floods have become more frequent and intense. People there often find themselves moving to higher ground or nearby cities to escape the water. On the other hand, the Sahel region in Africa experiences long periods of drought. Here, the climate forces people to move because farming becomes difficult, and they can no longer feed their families. Global mobility patterns. Now let's talk about how these movements affect the world. When people migrate, they might move to a nearby city or town, but sometimes they travel much farther, even to different countries. This process changes the way towns and cities grow.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?